So far, we've explored the connection between work and happiness. But why exactly does work make people happy? In this video, we'll explore one answer to that question that stems from self determination theory. In the early days of motivation research, scientists distinguished between intrinsic and extrinsic goals. Intrinsic goals have to do with a sense of achievement, curiosity, genuine interest, and pride. People do the task because they want to. People engage in an activity because it feels good. Extrinsic motivators are anything else that doesn't have to do with the activity itself, but might nonetheless motivate people. This could include money, grades in school, career advancement, praise from others, deadlines, exams, etc. Research on motivation consistently shows that when people feel intrinsic motivation for their activities and tasks, they do it with more enthusiasm, they enjoy it more, and the quality improves, especially on tasks that are complex and sophisticated. Extrinsic motivators can also be powerful and increase the quantity of work that people do, especially on simple tasks such as putting things together on an assembly line. Now, this isn't to say that these are completely separate types of activities or that all activities fit into one type that's either intrinsic or extrinsic. Many activities are motivated by both. The point is that intrinsic motivators tend to be more powerful in terms of driving action most of the time, especially with complex things like learning and development. But we should also ask the question, if people are intrinsically motivated to do something, does adding incentives or extrinsic motivators decrease the fun that they have? This is known by psychologists as the over-justification effect. And it happens when people are initially enjoying something, but then a reward or incentive is introduced by the researchers, and their intrinsic motivation appears to go down. This is accomplished by looking at experiments where people are given some kind of fun thing to do, like completing a puzzle, which a lot of us would do on our own. And in phase one of the experiment, people are doing the activity because they want to, because it feels good. And then one group of people is randomly assigned to get paid for it. In this case, money for completing the puzzle task. Then in the third phase, the money is removed. In other words, there's no more incentive, and participants are given the opportunity to do whatever they like. And what researchers find is that people who were once given money and then had that money taken away play with the puzzle less, engage with the puzzle less than the other group. In other words, their intrinsic motivation has fallen because of the reward that was introduced previously. And this type of effect, the overjustification effect, has been shown with people of all ages, including kids in school and adults in workplace situations. Here's a quote from a research team from a paper published in 1973. Children showed decreased interest in the drawing activity after having undertaken it in order to obtain a goal which was extrinsic to the pleasures and satisfaction of drawing in its own right. Based on this initial line of research, scientists developed what is now known as self-determination theory. Self-determination theory helps to explain why people do the things that they do in terms of intrinsic motivation. It's a theory about how people feel agency in their lives and empowerment. It's about the notion that people have control over their behavior through intrinsic goals, and this sense of empowerment and intrinsic goals is a very strong predictor of well-being. Some would call this, in essence, like psychological food. It's about nourishment for the soul. Self-determination theory suggests that there are three core underlying psychological motivations that people feel driven to fulfill. One is competence, or the feeling of self-efficacy. This is a sense that we're good at tasks or anything that we need to do in life to sustain ourselves. Feeling competent increases people's well-being. The second is autonomy. This could be construed in terms of objective freedom from unwanted control. If you are under the control of others, this is a threat to autonomy. It could also be a more subjective sense of one's own unique identity. That is, the freedom to choose who you are. A sense of autonomy is also very important for well-being. And finally, we have the need for relatedness. This involves social ties. That could be in terms of close social relationships, such as friendships, romantic relationships, and family, but it could also include social ties to community members, people in the workplace, and others. This is strongly motivated by a psychological need to belong, the need for humans to affiliate with others and connect with them. All three of these underlying core motivations within self-determination theory do not conflict with each other, but rather they complement each other. So, to the extent that people feel autonomy, they also feel relatedness and vice versa. Overall, self-determination theory helps to explain why and how people thrive in workplaces when these psychological needs are met. When people feel at work like they are competent, autonomous, and that they relate to others, then they tend to be much happier in their workplaces compared to situations in which those psychological needs are not being met. Now, what about self-determination in schools? In some of the other videos in this module, we'll hear from scientists such as Nikhil Goyal and Peter Gray, who discuss the lack of self-determination in school settings and how this is not only bad for learning, but also bad for psychological well-being. Stay tuned for more on this topic.